Pradeep, if you can hear me, what is the sort of level that you're looking in for the market? Very, very dead ahead of a big event of expiry?
I think just to put things into perspective, we had a high of 8336 towards the end of October, and from there in just 14 sessions we lost 600 point or 7% on Nifty. So Nifty was quite oversold, and after that there was a positive divergence on daily charts. So this was just a pullback rally. Overall view on Nifty as well as Bank Nifty continues to be negative. We think this is a sell-on rallies market. On the downside, immediate support is placed around 7800. Once that is taken out, I think the downtrend will resume, and 7690, that was the bottom made towards the end of September. That is the next immediate target, and below that 7540, that is the downside, bigger downside target we have been talking about. That will be the major downside target to buy. But immediate short term, I think 7800 is the immediate support. If that is taken out, then one can initiate fresh short positions once again.
Right. What will be your view on name like L&T? Continuous selling pressure since the time results have been declared?
I think along with L&T, Nifty Infra or CNX Infra Index was the one which we had said that it has broken down on weekly charts, and clearly we were betting for on around 1300, 1330 kind of levels on L&T when it was around 1400 and it broke down on weekly charts. So I think that continues to remain a very major support area for L&T. Closer to 1300 is the monthly Bollinger, lower band of Bollinger on L&T. So I think it will try to consolidate and take support around those levels. But clearly on the downside, CNX Infra will be participating higher, in the higher degree. If Nifty falls, then CNX Infra will fall accordingly, and L&T will still be I will be on a shorter side. Whenever there is opportunity, I will try to short L&T rather than buy it.
Right. What will be your view on RCom? 10% higher right now, 72 rupees.
I think RCom and along with other ADAG pack, you should take this as an ADAG pack move rather than RCom move or telecom move. Clearly all the ADAG stocks, whether it is Reliance Capital, Reliance Infra or RCom, are clearly showing signs of bottoming out on longer term charts. Talking about RCom, I think it broke out on its weekly charts couple of weeks back and then gave away some of the gains. I think it's all in all it continues to be in a medium term uptrend. Once it takes out 83 kind of level, which was the top made in October, then it can head all the way to 100 kind of levels. And I think on the lower side, 63 is the kind of support with the stop loss of which I would be comfortable holding on to RCom.
Right, but is it still a buy after the 10% move, or you would wait for a decline?
I think this is a pack which has moved, contrary to market. ADAG pack we have seen when market moves in some direction, ADAG pack has the potential to move in the reverse direction. So looking at the kind of volumes and whole ADAG pack, the kind of momentum it's showing, I think it can put on some more gains. And I would be comfortable buying into RCom even at this level with a stop loss of deep stop loss of around 63 levels, and the target which I mentioned 83 on the higher side is the immediate or major resistance, and above which I think it will be a clear uptrend, and 100 will be the next upside target.
Right. Any view on names like Petronet, LNG, GAIL? Generally we don't talk about these names, but off late there is a lot of interest into these packs.
I think whenever oil and gas pack comes, apart from HPBP, IOC, this was the pack which was relatively better, looking relatively better. That is Petronet, Gujarat Gas, then Indraprastha Gas. I think Petronet had an interesting chart pattern on its weekly charts. It broke out of a big consolidation or a downward sloping trend line couple of weeks back, and that was the level of around 198, 200 kind of resistance. So clearly I think Petronet has again resumed its long-term uptrend, and on the dips one can accumulate. On the longer term scale, I think in 6 to 8 months it can touch around 290 to 300 kind of levels. So definitely Petronet is a buy.
Right. How would you look at something like a Indiabull Housing Finance or a Jubilant FoodWorks? After the results or, any corporate action, they really saw some sell-off coming in. But now they are seeing very sharp gains every day.
I think in the NBFC space, housing finance is one space which we like. And we have reiterated our positive bias for HDFC, LIC Housing. And Indiabulls Housing Finance had some negative news, corporate news, and that's why we had seen a sharp fall. Otherwise, all the other NBFC or housing finance companies have been relatively resilient. So clearly, if we have to play on the upside, then NBFC or housing finance, in the NBFC space, housing finance will be our preferred bet. I think if you take Indiabulls Housing tends to be very volatile, and reason as I mentioned this, some corporate news was there, but I think LIC Housing, or if you take GIC Housing, Canfinome, these are, I think, technically better placed and can give significant return over next 8 to 10 months.
Right. Pradeep, just stay on with us. About a minute remaining for closing. Slightly lower than that, actually. Down about 17 points for Nifty. Sensex down about 45 points. Idea Cellular 0.5% higher. Tata Motors flat with a negative bias. Coal India down about almost close to 0.25%. Tata Steel down about 0.3%. Reliance Industries up 1.5%. ONGC up about 0.5%. Adani Ports down 2%. Continues to move on the lower side. GAIL down 1.85%. Bank of Baroda 168%. Bharti Airtel up about 0.6%. Yes Bank 0.5% higher. GMR Ambuja Cement up about 0.5%. PNB down about 0.3%. Infosys down about 1.2%. BHEL 1% decline. Kane India 0.3% on the higher side. NTPC down about 1.5%. Tata Power down about 0.5%. L&T continues to move on the lower side. Z Entertainment down about 1.6%. Maruti down about 2%. M&M down about 0.6%. HUL was the top gainer, 2.7% higher. HCL Tech flat, actually, absolutely flat, no major change. HDFC Bank, again, similar story, 4 rupees higher, no major change. Wipro was down a full 1.2%. BPCL almost flat, but the bias is on the positive side. Lupin up about 0.84%. There was some news flow which came in during the 2:30 factor regarding an approval. It went to the highs of 1865, but is closing in back towards 1857. Kotak Bank 680 down about 0.6%. Hero MotoCorp flat with a positive bias. Continuous gains for names like Hero MotoCorp coming in. Even Bajaj Auto has been gaining in, but today Bajaj Auto was down about 1.8%. That's the closing bell. 16 points on the provisional basis. For Sensex, it's down about 50 odd points. But these are provisional numbers. They may be subject to change, but there was no material change as well. So maybe the adjusted closing doesn't change quite a bit. Hindalco down about 65 paisa, Vedanta down 25 paisa, SBI down about a rupee or so, Tata Motors hovering around the 402 mark, Axis Bank flat with a positive bias, Idea Cellular closer to 140, Tata Steel flat with a negative bias. Bosch, because of the Credit Suisse report, is down about 3%. It's a new initiation. They have initiated with an underweight. Adani Ports down about 2.2%, 270 rupees for Adani Ports, 2.7 million shares. Maruti down about 2%, 4,634, 1.2 million shares traded for Maruti. GAIL down about 2%, 354.45. L&T down about 2%, 1340 levels for L&T, 1.74 million shares traded. Bajaj Auto down about 1.2%, 2,477 for Bajaj Auto. Z Entertainment 1.6% decline, closer to 400 levels. It's been volatile in this series, but there is buying when it goes down. Sun Pharma, clearly one of the top losers, has been one of the big losers into this series, 705 rupees. NTPC 131 flat with a negative bias, 1.5% decline. Actually, today was the first day when NTPC has seen some selling. Otherwise, it has been rock solid of late. HUL 2.7% higher was the top gainer, 812, and clearly on such a benign environment, these companies like HDFC, HUL, which are considered to be very, very defensive, tend to do well. HDFC up about 2.5%, Reliance up 1.6%, 961, 3.3 million shares are traded for Reliance Industries. Bharti Airtel 3 rupees higher, almost close to 1%, but again has been a big underperformer today, was slightly bucking the trend. Grasim on the positive side, Lupin up about 0.78%, not any major changes that we are seeing in Lupin. Idea up about 0.6%, 140 rupees for Idea. Again, no major change as far as Idea, Asian Paints, some of the other names are concerned. Let's look at some of the mid-cap gainers, mid-cap losers. That's where a lot of action seem to be happening. In Lanco, declared numbers. There was also some news flow regarding Lanco. That's a name which is up about 20-odd%. Reliance Communication, we spoke about it. It was up about 10% towards close. Jubilant Foodworks, we have been talking about the up move over there. 1530 for Jubilant FoodWorks. GMR Infra was up about 5%. Reliance Capital towards close stretched onto its gains, so 426, 4.5% higher. India Cements 4% higher. Syntex, JSPL, Alembic, Container Corporation, all of these names among the mid-cap pack did very, very well. 3 to 4% higher for each of these names. Just Dial 3.5% higher. Again, one name that has been doing fantastic of late, but today was slightly on the today also continued to make that move up. DLF, on the other hand, is one name that has not been doing that well. It went to the lows of 101, but today gave a breakout close to about 3% gains. Motherson Sumi closer to 300 off the day's high, but still 293 towards close. Vakranji Software 170, HDIL, HDFC, Indiabull Housing Finance, all of these names gaining in closer to 2.5 to 3 odd percent. We were talking to Pradeep. He's still there with us. Pradeep, what do you make, in terms of movement with some of these two-wheeler names? Names like Hero have done particularly well. You think there is still a lot of steam remaining into this rally?
In the auto-pack, rather than Hero MotoCorp, we have been liking Bajaj Auto more than Hero MotoCorp. And as I mentioned last time, TVS Motor is our top pick in the automobile pack. Apart from TVS Motor, Atul Auto, which is a lesser known auto stock, that is showing a good amount of strength on its weekly charts. After a lot of consolidation, the stock is showing a signs of breakout. So I think Atul Auto and TVS Motor will be our top picks in auto pack. Apart from that, I think Ashok Leyland and Maruti have been our top picks, preferred picks. But those two names are finding continuously finding resistance around their previous tops. That is 97 to 100 for Ashok Leyland and 4760 kind of levels for Maruti. So we will hold them, but fresh buying I will recommend in Atul Auto and TVS Motors.
Right, Pradeep, thank you so much for taking out time for us. Always a pleasure.